I hit a huge giant brick wall basically trying to make a TV show because like I went to broadcasting school, like classic TV radio, and I had there was no jobs back then. I graduated in 2007, so like exact.
Hey guys, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, I am Coach AJ, the Dope Life Coach, and I want to start off by saying thank you for tuning in week after week, episode after episode. It's my duty to put out dope episodes to help you live and love your dope ass life. But I have to say, this is a very special episode to me because today's episode is introducing a guy that helped me through my seasonal depression about 3 or 4 years ago. He's very much known in my household as Machu. Yeah. Like he's known in my household as Machu, and I'm not gonna lie, my dad's gonna have a kick out of this. He has a very successful YouTube channel called Ras Kitchen. Like, let me tell you something. I'm a fan. All right, I'm a fan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to introduce you guys to the Ras Kitchen himself, Machu.
Happy to be here, AJ. So cool to meet you finally, and
Absolutely.
yeah, I've been following you as well on the Instagram. So
Right?
yeah.
We've been following each other back and forth. Actually, I think it was around the time I bought this mug and I tagged you in it. And then, it was funny because my brother's like, it's pretty cool to let you have Machu following you. I'm like, I mean, he's like, he's a Canadian like us. Like, he's mad cool about it. Like, why not? Before we get into it, I mean, why don't you tell the people a little about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and grew up sort of always playing around with cameras and filming each other skateboarding and snowboarding and antics and that kind of thing, and end up going to school for broadcasting and
Oh, wow.
did not get a job in TV or radio as I intended, but eventually, what was it, 15 years later, finally started doing more video stuff as a job. And yeah, now I'm a content creator as that's sort of become a thing. It's a thing that didn't exist when I went to school. So that's like, I guess that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy that you mentioned that you went to film school. I went to a music industry school. I was supposed to be an A&R rep. And in Canada, it's a little bit different, let alone Toronto. I'm also from Toronto. It's difficult, right? Like, it's not as easy as people may seem. So I tried film and film marketing. And yeah, I just left the entertainment industry as a whole. I tried music, I tried film, and I just said, this ain't for me. Like, I'm glad that I tried it, but it just wasn't for me. But I just want to say, like, honestly, thank you for your YouTube page. Like I said before, like I suffer from seasonal depression, and I came across your page one night. I think it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, I could not sleep to save my life, and I was like, what is this? Like, I was very much like a white man in Jamaica, but not even Jamaica as in like the touristy area. You were like in the Jamaica that I am remembering, like country. So I was just like, this is very interesting. And I kept watching video after video, and just the way that you and Moko just kind of like interacted with each other. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like, this is pretty, like, I even feel like it's so crazy. I saw a video of Rati and I'm just like, I remember when Rati was a baby, like just things like that. And it's honestly, it's an honor to have you. What made you, because a lot of people think about Jamaica, they think about, like I said, the tourist areas. What brought you to Moko and his family? Because you've done a lot, like you put his place on Airbnb and all these things. Like, what brought you to there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few influences, I suppose. So growing up, I was really into hip hop and reggae and dub and drum and bass, jungle, and you would hear this heavy patois kind of Rasta influence in the music, even Dance Mix 93 type stuff. There's a lot of Jamaica influences music in a massive way.
Yep.
And I was kind of curious about who are these guys that I'm hearing? What are they saying? What is this? And after going to school, I had trying to think of creative ideas that I could do as far as videos. And I thought, ITAL, I don't know anything about ITAL. That's interesting. Oh, no one's really done anything about ITAL. What if I tried to do an ITAL cooking show? And then I
Mm,
couldn't find anything on the internet, even back then, which would have been 2009 probably.
okay.
And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I can just go down and find someone to do an ITAL cooking show. So I found Moko on a website called Worlds Together Travel Network, which is an alternative travel website hosted by a family from Michigan called the Bernies, and they're just the coolest family ever. So they had travel opportunities for people who wanted to go stay with a family in India or, rural Peru. And then they had, oh, you can stay with a Roots Rastaman in Jamaica. And it had Moko's phone number. So I just called him up and
Right.
said, hey, do you want to do a show? And he just said, yeah, man. That's literally the story. It was a 1 minute conversation. Okay, I want to come in this
Right.
date. Can you pick me up? Yeah, man. Okay. And that was off to the races, really.
Wow. And that's what kind of like started your friendship initially. Because it seems like what I've noticed, you're part of the family no matter what. Like you've just kind of
Yeah.
blended in with them very easily. And, they always look, even just the way they say match you, like it's just a way of, like one thing that I love about my culture is just how we endear and bring people in. Like we're very heavy on that.
Big time.
And just, yeah, we're very heavy on just bringing people in. And I think that's one thing I've learned is the hospitality there is always the best because not just because like my parents are originated from there, but just how it's so different compared to North America, how they just treat each other. It's very, very different. It's wholesome. So you were, as you said, you were trying to start like creating content. What made you say, okay, like YouTube's the way to go? Like what brought you to that?
I hit a huge giant brick wall basically trying to make a TV show because like I went to broadcasting school,
Right.
like classic TV radio. And
Yeah.
there was no jobs back then. I graduated in 2007. So
Yeah. I
exactly
remember those times. Yeah. Yeah.
great
I
time to
think,
start a career in broadcasting.
yeah. And I think if I remember, that was a time where like a lot of companies were being bought out by the conglomerate ones that we know today. So it was a shift at that
Big
time.
shift and yeah, odd timing. And I tried to pitch it. I did have some pitch sessions. I made a little trailer from what I cut that first shoot in 2010. I did actually get in at Food Network in front of some people and pitch it. I
Right.
hand delivered a calabash bowl with a USB and a little note to Vice because I thought, oh, for Vice Munchies series, Munchies was just beginning at that time.
Right.
Like, this is perfect. This
Perfect.
is so off the beaten track. It's authentic. Walk was an amazing character. This is so unique. No one's done it. Vice is going to be all over this. And it was just crickets. No one was interested at all. So the YouTube thing really came about because I had such a good time hanging out there. I still believed that Moko is such an intriguing guy. And I think other people would vibe with that. So even though I had
100%.
executives telling me that this is not marketable, this is not mainstream, it's not really a good idea, I still thought, okay, even if it's not mainstream, I still think that it's cool. And a handful of my friends thought it was amazing. So I got to thank the support of some of my close friends. And I thought, okay, well, we can just put it on YouTube and try, right? Because there's no cost of entry. There's no gatekeepers. There's no kissing butt to get in the door. You just make something and put it out. So that's
put
what I
it
love
out.
about YouTube, right?
And I think like if you look from 2007 till now, we're almost in 2023, content creating on YouTube has completely changed since then.
Oh
It's
yeah, for sure. And the skill level too. I mean, I've been doing video shooting since I was a kid,
right.
and I'm in my 40s now. And over time, I got better. At first, when people were like, "Oh, just put it on YouTube," I thought, "Oh, that's such a cop out. That's what you do when you fail," you know. And now, after all this time, I mean, it took a long time to get there, but I'm glad it kind of worked out that way because I got to keep it independent. There's no boss telling you what to do or what you can do or
Right.
don't show a spliff, or you can keep it way more real. And I
Yeah.
think keeping the control, the creativity is probably one of the most important things.
Yeah, and I think as a fan from a few years ago, just to seeing like how many more people subscribe and how it builds, and
Yeah.
reading the comments underneath of like people who are in Canada or in other parts of the world, and like, oh, this makes me feel like I'm back there. And during COVID, I was using your videos heavy because I I couldn't really travel anywhere. So it was just kind of like, okay, there's the ocean. Okay, there's escovitch fish. Okay, there's you know, like it's just all of that just made me feel as if like I was there. So I think you putting it on YouTube was huge because you have like over, I think it's over 700,000 subscribers now. So that's pretty big to have that all to yourself. I think that's absolutely amazing. I have a question, and I know you probably don't even know, but like, how many times have you been there now?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I had a feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of lost track. I mean, the pandemic threw a wrench in the plans, obviously. So those 2 years I went less. This year I feel super blessed because I've got to go 3 times. So I've spent 2 months in Jamaica in 2022 over 3 different trips. So that's been so awesome. And I just, yeah, I was just there. So fresh off the flight. So
I'm jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very much
yeah, I
jealous.
can't complain. And, you know, if anyone told me, hey, you'd be doing this for a job
A
at some
living,
point,
yeah.
I wouldn't have believed it. And especially during the beginning of YouTube, because like you said, we're up to 700,000 subscribers now. I started the channel in 2010, didn't post till 2011. And in 2017, I still had under 10,000 subscribers, right? So not that I was going full on it. It was sort of just post when I could. And it was really a side thing. I just could not afford to commit the time to build it. And I wasn't as good. I couldn't do things as fast. I didn't know how to chop it up quick and what content I was going for. But yeah, it's a really slow growther for me. It was anyway. Some people seem to put something out and they blow up and go viral. And it's like, ooh, that's easy. And that's so awesome. And that's kind of a shame because I think for most people, like the vast majority, it's a real just grind of consistency and slowly building and getting the right fans and supporters gradually. It's not some big right out the gate thing.
And even with that, I think it's important that you kind of go through the slow grind because if you notice when they have that one viral video, eventually it just kind of like sizzles out. And
Exactly.
So the more that you have the consistency with it, it's important. Also, I'm very big on like when I post my content that am I in the right mental space to even do it? Like that's very important to me because I don't want to put out something that I'm just putting out just to put out. Like I actually want it to be meaningful to something. What has this entire like this adventure that you've been on, what has it taught you the most?
I mean, one thing that comes to mind and it's refreshed every single trip is just gratitude for being where I'm at, especially when it comes down to the simple things in life. So I just got back, for example, and I was staying at my friend Peter's place and the water was gone, which is, you know, in Jamaica, sometimes you're out in the rural areas and you don't have a tank. Sometimes the water's just out. So we had no water for 4 days, no fresh water. So we were surfing, coming back all salty, couldn't shower. You know, luckily there's a waterfall just 15-minute drive away. So we drive to the waterfall, could have a shower, fill up drinking water to flush the toilet, all that kind of thing, you know? And then I booked an Airbnb in Kingston after that. I was doing some stuff over there and I show up at the Airbnb and then that place happened to be out of water too. I'm like, oh man, what's going on? So being so salty and sweaty and just something simple like having a clean shower or, you know, in Toronto, I've never had that problem where my water's out. So these little simple things that you very easily take for granted, being somewhere like that is such a good reminder that I'm so lucky just to have running water and forget about hot water or whatever. It's clean and like no one's getting sick. It's the simple things it's really easy to write them off and kind of forget about them. So that's just one thing that comes to mind from just this past week.
Yeah, I could see that because if like back home on our family spot, if the tank is out, the tank is out. If it didn't rain, it didn't rain. Like it's
if you're lucky, you got a waterfall or a river or
if a gully or something, you're good. But if you don't, like you're kind of just SOL a little bit until that kind of fixes back up. And you're absolutely right. Every time that I go away and I come back, I always tell my mom, like, I'm grateful. Like there's just Like I'm very much grateful and but in the same aspect of it, as much as they may be out of water, have you ever noticed that they're actually a lot more happier than we are here in a sense?
General
Like,
vibe too, and the other thing, generosity is
yeah,
amazing. You can go somewhere in Jamaica and meet them, and you might meet someone that doesn't have a lot, and they're gonna share with you. You know, they just pick some ripe banana. They're gonna give you some banana.
yeah,
Everyone kind of shares, so there's a real feeling of camaraderie, and
hmm,
you know, at that level, everyone does kind of help each other out, which is it's really nice to see, refreshing.
yeah. There's my dad. You know, like there's a thing they have where they call they run a boat, which basically means like everyone brings something and
Yeah,
they cook up.
yeah.
So every now and then I talk to my dad. He's like, "Oh, I'm making a 10 speed," and I'm like, "Okay." Like he's making a big pot of whatever. But like even that, like I tell my friends, like no, like back home, like you would bring something, I would bring, all of us would be eating. There's not a
Mhm.
time where someone's going to be left out. It's like everyone's gets fed, everyone gets taken care of, even if
Mhm.
it's not a lot, it's something. And just like that type of generosity and camaraderie, I think we miss that here a little bit, just a
Yeah,
smidge.
and knowing your neighbors and that kind of thing. I mean, I'm lucky where I live, it's actually very, even though I'm kind of downtown, I still know a lot of my neighbors, and it's much more Canadian
Right.
than other places. But there's other parts of the city where I lived where I had no idea who anyone was even on my floor or across the
Yeah.
street. It's kind of everyone's got the blinders on. So you know, you go to Jamaica or places like that. You know, people know each other, people vibe with each other. There's a lot more, yeah, social aspect.
Yeah.
Lauren is stuck in their own little world, which is a good thing, I think.
Right. Being that you've traveled like so much back and forth, like you went there 3 times this year so far,
Mhm.
how do you, what are the benefits you've seen in your mental health since you've been on this adventure?
Well, my big mental health thing I've realized is surfing is pretty much my mental health savior. So
Mm,
when I'm in the ocean and in the water and doing that activity, it's very much like a meditation. You can't think of anything else. You're somewhere beautiful in nature. Your body feels different because you're even have a different material around you.
right.
You know, that the wildlife thing, whether you're with dolphins or pelican flying by or you know whatever, that's my kind of mental health thing. So the fact that it may not be amazing waves every time I go there, but I'm still going to get out in the water, and the fact that I can do that over there regularly is such a huge boost. So we had such good waves the last trip that just brings it up to a whole other level.
Right.
Same with my buddy Peter. We're just like so stoked on life. Oh my god, this is so good. So yeah, that's my thing. And weather too. I mean, I actually do really love part of the winter in Canada, but certainly I don't enjoy the whole thing based on the activities I like. So that's been I feel very grateful for that I can catch a little bit in winter and then take off and then you
And
know
you have a
having the
balance
freedom.
between,
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's a huge part that I think a lot of people were suffering with the last 2 years with being kind of restricted from traveling.
Oh yeah.
Traveling is a big one for me, just because I like the ocean and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
the Lake Ontario is not really gonna do exactly what I would like it to do.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Traveling is people don't see it, but if you were to budget out part of your budget, just say, okay, I'm going to travel twice a year, and you just put money aside to go. I think a lot of Canadians would be a lot more happier during the winter time.
It's way easier to travel than people think. It just depends where you go. So very specifically, I generally travel to locations. I mean, again, we're lucky and have this advantage, but if you make Canadian or US dollars and you go to other countries, it's just worth more, or there's other countries that are more cost efficient. So you know,
Exactly.
I'm not going on vacation to Dubai or Los Angeles or these places for years, like 5 years before the pandemic. I would do 2, 3 months every winter and I'd go to Indonesia and I would
Wow,
rent out my place here, and that would basically cover the trip. And I was able to live off what was it, $1,000 a month,
that's
and stay
awesome.
in Indonesia. You know, so people think, oh, traveling's so expensive, and you have to have so much money. You can actually save money traveling if you're lucky enough to have work that you can do remotely, which I was doing at the time, right? So there's these little hacks that you can do, and good for your mental health, good for your pocketbook, good for your, exploration of yourself and the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love doing that. It was 5 years in a row I went to Indonesia for that
Oh,
reason too, right? Because sometimes the jobs I was doing before too were very up and down. I used to work in sales, and those months were really slow sometimes, or the industry I was in completely shifted, and I was literally worried about what I was going to do. But I could just rent out my place and go, and then the
and
stress is
go.
gone. I'm not doing this job in winter when the business is bad, and I'll come back in April and get back at it. So there's a lot of ways, if your lifestyle or if your cost of living, if you keep that cost of living low, right?
Yeah.
The pressure's off when don't have big car payments or big house, or I don't have any expensive tastes really other than maybe surfboards, and even those don't
And
get to
traveling. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think you hit the nail there when you said that you could actually travel and make it work for you. It's glamorized how we do it. You go to the all inclusives and stuff, which is fine. I like to do those as well.
Yeah, me
But
too.
there's
Once in a while,
ways,
sure.
yeah, like I like to do as well. But I think you're absolutely right. There is ways around it. There's affordable ways around it. And if more people, I think in Canada, were to just put that little part in their budget of, okay, I'm going to travel at least twice a year, it'll make a huge difference. You mentioned your buddy Peter. So as a male, like the more research I've done, I find that it's males try to find it a little bit harder to just kind of discuss their mental health. But now you're a bit older now, and do you find that it's easier for you to go to your friends as an older male compared to, let's say, like when you're in your 20s, to talk about when you're having tough times and to like discuss your mental health?
Yeah, I think it's easier now, or we're seeing more things in the mainstream thanks to people like yourself putting it out there consistently and kind of normalizing it, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I could definitely do more, but share more and be more open with friends. But I feel like, yeah, it's definitely kind of come a long way since it was maybe when I was in high school, and there really wasn't much of that going on. And I'm lucky to have a good group of friends that I've been friends with for a long time that, I feel very comfortable with a handful of my friends, putting it all out there. And I don't know, mental health is an interesting thing because I guess for me, I've been lucky. I haven't gone through depression, or I haven't had to experience these things. But, I've been doing some kind of therapy lately as well, just almost preemptively or to help with relationship, or you don't know when sometimes you can go down a dark path. And just because I got this far, as far as I know, without it doesn't mean it can't happen or life can't change. And, circumstances you can't predict. Right. So,
Right.
yeah, I guess I'm pretty new to learning that. And I feel like it's been helpful for my relationship, and definitely giving insights, and just having a third party is an interesting thing because people can get very stuck in their ways. And I have blind spots like everyone else. And obviously I don't know what those blind spots are. You need someone else to kind of guide you in that direction.
Right. Absolutely. I really have to ask you this question because sometimes not even I understand him. How do you understand Moko?
I don't all the time. I've been going there for so long, and I think the other thing too is editing all the videos. I get to replay stuff, right? So there's something I didn't catch at that time. Sometimes I am able to go back and go, "Oh, that's what he's talking about." And it's kind of funny because I have there's a Jamaican Canadian guy named Howard that I met through the show, and maybe 5-6 years ago, I actually used to WhatsApp him little clips because of things that I didn't understand
to get him to translate it.
Yeah, and much respect to Howard, big up Howard. So he would get back to me and tell me what it was, but eventually it got to the point where he said, "Matthew, if you don't understand, I'm not going to understand. So stop sending me these clips." So it's kind of a good compliment. Like, okay, I guess I've kind of
You've gotten it, yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's even times like I know family members are like, "What did he just say?" I'm like, "You're asking me? I like, I'm the Canadian one. How would I know?" Like, I have no idea. But I think he's an absolute character that that I think the reason why I love how you display Moko so much is because some of us all have that one uncle like Moko in a Jamaican family, maybe
Mm.
multiple, and where they're just like chill, lively, caring, but funny at the same time. Or we have an aunt that's the same way. And it's just nice to see. It was also really nice to see the countryside of it on mainstream on YouTube because, as I said, most people just think of Jamaica and they think of the tourists, the beaches, this,
Mm.
but the people live there. And it's actually, I think, a lot more healthier how they live compared to, let's say, here. They're living off of the land completely. I watched an episode last week where I forgot what it was. He was making like a soup and he
Mm.
put pumpkin and this, and then he said, I'll put cucumber. And I said, you know what, sir, you and my father need to have a conversation because y'all be putting anything and mixing it.
Uh,
But my pops is 75 and he doesn't even look 75. So clearly, and even Moko, I don't know how old he is, but I think how old is he roughly?
uh, yeah, he has his age on his website, so you can look it up at
Okay.
rastamoko.com.
But
He's got some,
regardless,
so they
I
can check
know,
it out. I won't spill the beans, but
no,
I
don't
got,
spill the
I
beans.
got more gray hair than him. I'll say that
And he doesn't even look it. So, I mean, they're doing something right, clearly.
for
They're
sure.
definitely
Like,
doing
look at the
something right.
Jamaican fitness is amazing. People are, but I think because a lot of them, especially in the countryside, you're eating natural food, you're eating local ingredients, you're probably eating a lot of organic. You're not eating a lot of dairy or meat or junk generally in comparison to, and even when I go down, I've just been there for a few weeks. I'm already feeling like I'm
The difference.
more in shape, but just the temptations aren't there. And you're generally doing
Yeah.
a lot of walking and you're sweating and, over there for me, I'm doing surfing and hiking a lot more. It's, I guess, just the active lifestyle over there. And it helps having the weather too, right? It's a lot
Yeah.
harder to go out when it's -20 or whatever.
Yeah. And it's a lot nicer. Even the days that they do have the heat, it's not so bad. Like it'll come and it'll pass. And I think one of my favorite episodes, which I know I got to do it one day, it was the Blue Mountain episode where you went up
Oh
in the
yeah.
mountains. And my mom watched it and she's like, yeah, that's just how it is. And I'm like, I would do it, but I'm like, that drive though, I don't know about that drive. I've experienced those mountain drives once. I'm not too sure I'm going to do it the second time, but I would love to go and do the tour for Blue Mountain. I think that would be really amazing.
That one's an epic one. Yeah, it's well worth it.
That was it, just because you had you guys need to go watch that episode, but there was a part where the sun was setting and I was like, like, come on, like, look at that. It was so high up. It was cold at night. They were like, yeah, it's chilly up here. And my mom was like, yep, higher altitude, so it's a lot more cold.
Yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
would love to stay up there. What two decisions have you made that completely changed your life?
One would be I don't want to work for anyone else. So when I was 20, I used to do customer service at Rogers. Like, thank you for choosing Rogers. You reach Matt. How can I help you?
Virgin Mobile, don't worry.
You know the pain. So I did that job for 1 year. I had the 2 weeks vacation. I took the 2 weeks vacation, came back, and I said, I'm never doing this again. And that was 2002. So I guess it's been 20 years since I had a real job, real full-time job, right? So I've always done contract stuff or part-time or had a mix and match or done entrepreneurial stuff. So there's been a massive amount of ups and downs and bad times and good times with that. But I think once you get accustomed to that, the sort of feast or famine aspect, it doesn't worry you as much and you're able to go through those lean times. Even now, I still have months that aren't good, and I have to really consider, finances and how, going to work on this project still. But then you have other months that make up for it, and just dealing with that, and the idea of a set salary is good, but it's also dangerous. It gets people to be very comfortable, and they don't want to leave. And I think these days you really have to be entrepreneurial not in the sense that you have to be an entrepreneur full time, but I feel like everyone should have some little side thing
On the side. Yeah.
something, because we're not living the same lives as our parents, where you might have worked for the same company 40 years and got an awesome retirement package. People aren't getting that, right? There's baby boomer generation coming up, and things are going to be tight by the time that I retire and these next generations retire. So you have to do some kind of little hustle on the side. So I went off a bit on a tangent there. The other thing that changed my life definitely was surfing. Once I got into that, it completely changed. I wanted to travel so much more. I got to go to all these crazy places. I was never really much of a gym guy or a fitness guy, but the natural result of just paddling and swimming and surfing all the time, you just naturally are able to keep fit. It's a side effect of something fun. So for people that maybe aren't as into that stuff, surfing is so good. And for someone who's hunched over on a computer editing all day, like the reverse of being in the water and paddling around, I'm in my 40s now, and I feel way more fit than I did maybe when I was, late 20s. So yeah, those are the two things. Being somewhat entrepreneurial and surfing, those are two big things.
Would you say like surfing is your form of self-care?
I guess I could say that, yeah.
Yeah. It's so crazy because some people will think that self-care has to be like the thing that you go to the spa and get a massage. And I'm like, no. Your self-care could be something that you just go to whenever, just to feel free. And just the way you talk about surfing, I could automatically tell like I could literally picture you surfing and just feeling free. Like, okay, I'm good now. Like just being happy and being in your own element. So it's kind of interesting that surfing brought you, obviously you need water for that. You can't do that in the lake. So
you can though here. I surf a lot in the Great Lakes, just depending on the day. Yeah, I'll send you some pictures. It gets crazy. Even this weekend, there's a huge storm coming, and there's going to be some pretty crazy waves in the lakes. They're cold, but yeah, there's spots.
I would never. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I've seen like paddleboarding, but I've never really seen surfers.
Yeah,
there.
check it out. Check out just Great Lakes Surfing on Instagram. You'll find a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Even in Toronto here, you'll be surprised.
Okay, actually, I'm now curious. So like, how that would all work out? As you went to Jamaica a couple times, I'm sure you've heard some negative aspects of it in terms of the crime and things like that. Especially if you're not on a resort. What would you like the people to know about Jamaica that they don't know already, despite what they hear about the negative aspects of Jamaica?
Yeah, the media really sells fear. It's a fact. It's not information. It's infotainment, right? So you got to be really careful about what you listen to. And obviously there are some massive problems in Jamaica, but I tell people, if you don't do drugs, sell drugs, or buy drugs, and you're not in a gang, you're not generally around the violence that is unfortunately affecting a lot of mostly younger, local Jamaican people, which is, brutal. And but that type of violence, it's not when I'm going around in Jamaica, I'm worried about someone stealing my camera or that kind of thing. So especially in the countryside, in these small areas, I rent a car every time I'm there. I'm driving all around Jamaica. A lot of time I'm on my phone. I'm with my camera gear, like I'm by myself. Knock on wood, I haven't run into these kind of problems, and the fear that they're selling you. It's like anywhere, be conscious of where you are and how you're acting, and don't be flashy and that kind of thing. But the general day-to-day vibe, if you're just doing your thing around Jamaica, is way more chill. So even when I was there, they put on a state of emergency because there's been a lot of gang crime.
Yeah, I saw that.
And people call me and say, "Oh my God, you're in Jamaica and there's a state of emergency." I'm like, they do that every time, they just there's some more checkpoints. They bust some people. There's an election coming up, It
already, so
change things, right? It did take me a little bit of time to get comfortable too. When I first went, I would just roll with Moko, and he's an amazing guide, and he knows everyone. So if you're with Moko, no one's going to mess with you. It's kind of amazing,
right?
And then as I got more comfortable there and met more people and kind of learned how to act and just got more comfortable in the place, I became yeah, a lot more at ease with driving around. And again, I don't do stupid things. I'm not wearing some like big gold chain and diamond thing and walking down
Mm-hmm.
on Orange Street at 2 a.m. You know, I'm just use your common sense like anywhere, I think.
Simple. That's
Hmm.
literally it. All right, top three favorite Jamaican meals.
Oh, man. From Moko or just in general?
Just in general.
In general, well, the first one that comes to mind is a red herring rundown that Moko makes, which
All
is so
right.
good with the grated coconut for the coconut milk and the salted red
Mm-hmm.
herring. That's number one. I love roast breadfruit, fried breadfruit in the
Okay, you like
morning.
it roasted
That's
and
another one.
okay.
And I don't know. There's so many good things. Maybe tied for third is this is hard to choose. Like ackee saltfish, I could eat every day. I
Oh,
love.
really?
Yeah, I love that one. And maybe curry goat. Throw curry goat tied in there.
We're gonna have that in a couple of weeks. I mean, this weekend. Yeah, this weekend. And yeah, I would say that for me, it's definitely Atkins fish, which is a shame sometimes because, we have to use the tin cans and it's like almost sometimes $10 per
Oh
can
no.
here, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous. And my dad makes really good fried dumpling. Like he will not give us the
Mm.
recipe. He will not. I kind of sort of figured it out, but it's not 100% there yet. And one of my favorites as like a kid, my mom does it till this day, is banana fritters.
Oh
Bananas
man.
like when the banana's like overripe and she makes me those
Mm.
stupid calls. She's like, "Hey, I have banana fritters." I'm like, "I'll be on my way."
And the
Just set
sugar in
mine
them makes them a little
aside.
crispy and the brown around the
Oh,
edges, like
yep, she makes
caramelized
it
sugar.
crispy. I'll have that with a cup of coffee. It's just top tier. So I asked everyone this question. What makes you feel the most dope? What makes you feel the dopest, the greatest? What makes Matthew feel dope?
Hmm. I don't know. That is a good question. I haven't thought about that one. What makes me feel though?
I mean, I can name off a whole bunch of things. So, I mean,
I mean, what makes me feel dope is probably just uh, choosing the freedom thing over financial.
mm-hmm.
I think that's what puts me most at ease because the things I like to do require flexibility. I don't know when, the swell is coming here and I want to go surf or the snow is coming and I want to go ride. And that makes me feel really good to have that freedom in my choice of work that I do. That if I don't want to work tomorrow and want to go drive somewhere and hop in the lake, I can do that. So that probably makes me feel dope is just having that freedom.
I'm trying to be like you. I ain't gonna lie. I'm working on it. I'm
Yeah,
definitely working
working
on
on
it.
it. I mean, I'm working on it too. I'm still
Yeah,
working. It's a never ending work on it thing. But I think a lot of people, yeah, they're chasing money too much. But the real reason they want money is because they want freedom. So if you can kind of hack the middle
yeah,
ground, which, there's a lot of ways where you don't need a ton of money to do the things that you want. Or I love, you probably read it before too, but Tim Ferriss' 4 Hour Work Week, that
yeah.
book where when you really break down the costs of the things that you actually want to do, and you'll be surprised that you probably need a lot less than you maybe imagine if you break it down. Even if you're one of these
Right.
people that wants to drive a fancy car, well, I drive a basic car, but if you want to rent or lease a Mercedes, like it's not that much. What is going to cost you like $800 a month, $900 a month? So
Well, depending on which one. I just saw
yeah,
one
depending on which one. Maybe
for
that's a
like
bad
28.
example. But
Yeah, like it's
you don't need
2,800, but I
millions.
know what you mean.
You don't need millions. Everyone's thinking they need some huge piece of pie to just do the basics. But if you actually break it down and actually decide what are the things you want to do and what are the actual costs, it's generally
Right.
a lot easier or attainable, I guess.
It's far less complicated than what we really think it is.
Yeah.
Like it's once you just break it down per day, work towards it per day. It's actually more attainable than how society may try to scare us out of doing that.
Yeah,
Obviously, right?
exactly. You have the abundance mentality instead of the fear mentality.
Yeah, I agree. Matthew, it's been an Wait, hold on. I can't say Matthew. Matthew, It's been it's been an absolute pleasure. I can't deny it. I've been wanting to interview you for a while. So when I said, let me just shoot my shot, specifically because I thought you weren't going to be around. I don't know when you're here because I know you spend a lot of time. So I was like, let's just see if he's available. When you replied, I haven't even told my family, so they're going to be shocked because I'm going to show them this. So they're definitely going to be shocked. But, I was just wondering if I could have you back as a guest, if you're open for that in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll be a little better about getting back to you. The last few weeks, I was kind of all over the place. So
don't even worry. Nah, don't even worry about it. All right, y'all, please go again and follow Matthew. Matthew, go ahead and tell people where they can find you on social media, your YouTube.
Yeah, the YouTube channel is Ras Kitchen or Ras Kitchen TV on Instagram. And then my personal Instagram is Jabap, which makes no sense. I probably need to change it to something more sensible, but it's at JABAP, and you can see all my kind of personal travels and other stuff that's not as Jamaica related. And I have another channel that I'm growing. We're just about to hit 20,000 subs, which I'm very excited for, even though it's a small milestone, but it's called Earthly Eats, and it's kind of food travel related one as well. So I'm way behind on that one, but that's my big thing for 2023 is to post more on that channel.
All right, y'all. You have to go ahead and follow Matthew. Thank you all for tuning into another Dope Life podcast. Please go ahead and subscribe to Matthew's channel. Again, I am Coach AJ. Stay dope and walk with peace and love.